So, well, who else is feeling a bit depressed that we aren't playing Endwalker this week? You know, I haven't felt this way since Final Fantasy VII Remake was delayed. But at least this time, it's only for 2 weeks. So, you know, it's okay. We are okay. It is fine. We can play other things and not think about how much longer until Endwalker. You know, that is until we go on Twitter and that Endwalker countdown reminds us all over again. In all seriousness, I really am fine with the delay. They happen all the time with video games, and especially with MMOs. And if a 2-week delay will lead to a smooth as butter launch and less bugs, well, I am all for that. So, for now, I kind of wanted to dote on why I am so excited for Endwalker, and also go over some concerns I have going into the launch. Well, one of the big reasons I am so excited for Endwalker is that launch excitement. You know, that electricity in the air as everyone is going through the content at the same time. Completely blind, no one knows what's around the next corner, or what the next big plot reveal will be. If someone is playing on Twitch, they can actually go into a cutscene without any idea that something major is going to happen. Because the chat won't be full of smiley faces of players that know what's going to happen. Because now, it will be a mystery to all. And I think that is the perfect segue into the story. We all know the gist of it by now. This is the ending of a 10-year-long saga, and I for one cannot wait to be on that emotional roller coaster. If Shadowbringers was the knife to the gut, then Endwalker is most definitely the twist and pull. I expect to be an emotional mess by the end of this expansion. Also, I cannot wait to see the hints at what is coming next. And speaking of what's to come next, in a pretty recent interview with Famitsu, Yoshida said that they have planned the next 10 years of story, and I am not at all surprised by that. Not going to spoil anything here, but the way they integrated plot elements from A Realm Reborn into Shadowbringers was just magical. Was it planned from the start? Who knows, but the fact that they left that thread open to explore, and then used it so perfectly really speaks to how great these writers are. If it wasn't always in the plan, they made us believe it was. And that's pretty special too. I mean, the superb execution of Shadowbringers is another reason I am so hyped for Endwalker. Ishikawa was the main scenario writer for Shadowbringers, and is also writing Endwalker, which I think is awesome. When you look at the stories she wrote for Final Fantasy XIV, they were all amazing, so she has a very good track record, and that makes me very excited for what Endwalker has in store. Another thing I really liked about Shadowbringers was the ties to Final Fantasy III on the NES. Now, you don't need to have played Final Fantasy III, or really know anything about it at all to love and enjoy Shadowbringers, but if you did, it is so cool to see how they integrated parts of that game into the Shadowbringers narrative. Like, for example, the way they used the song Eternal Wind. This song was originally composed by the legendary Nobu Uematsu to be the world map music in Final Fantasy III, and it's an uplifting song that invoked feelings of exploration and adventure. Soken, the composer for Final Fantasy XIV, remixed that song and made it the theme for a character, and it was the most perfect fit. This character's dream is to be a hero, and wants nothing more than to join the Scions on their adventures. And Soken, the genius that he is, used Eternal Wind as this character's theme. Then, he wrote a sad piano ballad for Eternal Wind, and played it during some of the most emotional scenes in the game. That forever changed the way I heard this song. In fact, when I was playing Final Fantasy III Pixel Remaster, and I got on the world map for the first time, and Eternal Wind started playing, I actually felt tears forming in my eyes. I can't hear this song without feeling sad now. Thanks so much, Soken. Now, the reason I bring up the Final Fantasy III ties is because Endwalker has ties to Final Fantasy IV. This greatly adds to my excitement for Endwalker. I love Final Fantasy IV. It is one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, right up there with the best in the series, Final Fantasy VI. A little bit of a tangent here, I also cannot wait for the Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster. If you haven't played this masterpiece, well then, that seems to be the perfect opportunity to do so. So, in Endwalker, we are going to the moon, which was a huge plot point in Final Fantasy IV. The Magus sisters are being made into an encounter, yet again, a really memorable encounter from Final Fantasy IV, and there is even a dungeon sharing a name. And from what I've seen of that dungeon, that is all it's sharing. The Final Fantasy XIV version is kind of creepy, to be honest. And while all that is really cool, what has me excited is this. Will Soken take a song from Final Fantasy IV and give it the Eternal Wind treatment? The two songs that I think would be really cool to get this kind of treatment are Rydia's theme, which sounds like this, and Theme of Love, which sounds like this. Now, aside from all that, I am also willing to bet that the 4 Archfiends from Final Fantasy IV will also be making appearances, somehow, somewhere, as well. Now, that was all narrative stuff. Of course the new raids, dungeons, job abilities, and, well, new jobs have me excited as well. Reaper, in particular, looks fantastic. I will no longer have to hop on my botanist and pretend. You can be the real thing now. Also, Summoner is basically a brand new job with awesome looking abilities, and I can't wait to try it out. Sage, being a DPS barrier healer hybrid thing, well, it looks like a lot of fun, and I can't wait to give it a shot. So, those were all things I am excited for, but I also have some fears going into Endwalker. Now hear me out. Right now, Final Fantasy XIV is in the limelight. The insane growth of the game actually led to a period of time where Square ran out of digital keys to sell. The dream, right? Being so successful that you literally run out of the product to sell. The other nutty thing was, servers were becoming so congested that players couldn't log in. The team behind Final Fantasy XIV were able to remedy these problems, but just as a reminder, this stuff happened during what is considered a content drought. So, the fear is, what happens when all the players that stop playing in Wait for Endwalker log back in when Endwalker launches? What happens when a massive influx of players try to log in on the patch day? Will the servers be able to hold? It's not unusual for an expansion, or an MMO, to launch with some server instability. I mean, just look at New World, right? And it's really more of how quickly the staff can fix the issues. But we also know that there has been a shortage of the components needed to create more servers, and I just fear that may lead to, well, you know, some issues. I guess the other thing lingering in the back of my mind is, what if they don't stick the landing with this ending? Now, don't get me wrong, I really don't think this will happen. Ishikawa has proven herself over and over and over again, so they have built a lot of trust and goodwill. But I've also been burned in the past and really hope this doesn't fall apart right at the goal line. And those were my only fears. Mostly, I am very excited. I cannot wait for December 3rd. The fears I have are really what happens for any new expansion launch and, you know, when any long-lasting story is coming to its conclusion. But, what do you think? What are you most excited for in Endwalker? Do you share the same fears I do? Let me know in the comments below. And, as always, if you like this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and have a fantastic day.